What's up, my boomers? It's me, Melanie Mac, here on my social commentary channel, Melanie Mac Go Boom. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. So, for today's video, this is long awaited. I am going to talk about veganism, why I think it is not good for you, and, you know, I talk a little bit about how I eat and stuff like that as well, but I think the big principle here is veganism is pointless. Now, let me say, I don't think that every single person in the world should be on one exact identical diet. I think there is some sort of balance to be had, but I am not one of those people who says, we're all different. We can all do this, that, and that different. We still have a species-specific diet that we need to adhere to, and veganism is not that. I do not think that any singular human being is going to thrive on a vegan diet. Period. So, but I am saying, like, I don't think that I'm not going to sit here and preach to everybody to eat exactly how I do either, but just saying. Don't even know why I'm putting out this stupid disclaimer, because people will choose to be mad anyway. But we got that out of the way. So, I want to say first and foremost about that too, is let's talk about, now this is going to be a long video. I already know it because, get me started on talking on nutrition and I'll go for a while. So this is going to be a long video. Buckle up. Get ready for it. Let's go. Now, when you talk about, like, think about vegan influencers, vegans that you know in general and stuff like that. Now, when I was vegan, I remember, like, when I started suffering health issues. Now, a lot of vegans will tell you, it's because you didn't do it right. It's because you didn't do it right. Because you didn't do it right. I literally paid for a meal service that was supposed to balance everything for me, so I'd get all the nutrients and stuff. I paid entirely too much money for that. And yeah, I still suffered greatly. So, that's always the catch-all excuse. Not only that, but I'm telling you, one of the hardest parts about whenever I quit veganism was I was embarrassed, because I was like, hey, you know, I'm telling everybody, go vegan, you know, I did that whole thing. And so I was embarrassed because I was like, well, dude, it didn't work. And now I have to admit I'm wrong. That's not always easy to do, but I will say in my life and on social media and all that kind of stuff, you will see that while it's not an easy thing to do, I will do it. I will admit I'm wrong. And part of admitting you're wrong too, and when I saw my health having issues and declining, I was like, I gotta make some changes, and I did that because actually caring about my health was more important than being right and my pride. This is why I believe pride is listed as a deadly sin to a lot of people. I don't even think there are technically deadly. I don't think that like 7 deadly sins are listed as such in the Bible, but I'm just saying in general, I understand why it's compiled on that list, because people will literally kill themselves before having to swallow their pride in a lot of cases. Continue on a diet that is not good for them, for example. I'm not one of those people, fortunately. I have plenty of issues, but hey, I'll admit I'm wrong. Now, let me say, whenever I was figuring things out, putting two and two together, watching YouTube videos about ex-vegans, people who have improved their health after they quit veganism and left it and started eating meat again, there were a lot of influencers who said, do not trust other vegan influencers you see out there, because they're lying to you. Almost all of them are lying to you. Almost all of them eat eggs, eat fish, or supplement with fish oil or animal organs or whatever it may be. The actual amount of people who are truly 100% vegan is a lot more rare than you think. And you know, when I first saw that, I was like, I don't know is that really true? You know, I just was like, well, it works for some people. But then I'm telling you, just out of my own friend circle, people I know, all that kind of stuff. And also, like, just what was that just hit the news recently? This senator, a New York senator or whatever, I can't remember, I think it was New York, he's pushing for vegan meals for children, which honestly I think is child abuse, because kids need the proper nutrients and vegan diets is not that. He's pushing and being so forceful and aggressive about getting these kids on vegan diets for their school meals when he was caught eating fish. He got caught with his pants down, essentially. And then he had to own up to it. But what if he wasn't caught? He wouldn't have admitted it. So just saying, even beyond that, when I think of my own friend circle, people I know, now I'm not saying every single one, I'm not close enough with every single vegan I know to actually talk about them about this kind of stuff or for them to even trust me. But I'm just saying, I personally know vegans who go on their platform and who will preach how great plant-based is working for them when they tell me about all their health issues and that they have to supplement beef organs and how they have to eat eggs or fish just to not die. And they're still posting about how great plant-based is working for them on their platforms and pushing it on people. That I keep my mouth shut, but I don't respect it because it's literally killing you and you're going to tell other people to do that? That's freaking messed up to the nth degree, my dudes. All right, so not only that, so you have that, but then you have people who are still militantly sticking to it. And you know what, by the way, said vegans who do that, I commend them for actually eating eggs, for actually taking those beef organ supplements or whatever for their health instead of literally killing themselves in their 20s. Good for you for doing what you got to do. My only thing is at least be honest up front about it, you know? And also, why not just eat meat? If you're supplementing all these things, just eat meat. It's a lot easier and it'll do your body a lot better. So anyway, that I mentioned too in my last video about one of my friends who I've known for over 20 years who unfriended me just because of what I posted on my Facebook fan page about my diet and how it worked for me. And she didn't like it. I wasn't telling her how to eat, but she still didn't like it. She called it fat shaming and all that. Mind you, this girl's been vegetarian, not even full vegan, but vegetarian for as long as I'd known her, for well over 20 years. So I first met her, she was like a teenager. We met on like a forum, gaming forum. And so she was a teenager. She was slim. She was in shape. She looked good. You know, as young, when we're young, we have a lot more resilience, and also that was more, she wasn't always vegetarian her entire life, so she sustained on meat and stuff before, and so then she went vegetarian later. Okay, fast forward 20 years, obese, hair falling out. I'm not even talking, you know, people say, oh yeah, I have some hair falling out, like she had to wear wigs because her hair, she had so little hair. All kinds of health issues. Okay, just struggling to stay alive. Mind you, she's younger than me. And it's just like, girl, you are way too young to be having these issues. And so when she talked about it and stuff, and when she got mad at me talking about how I shouldn't be talking about my diet, I was like, girl, you know you got all kinds of health issues and changing your diet could fix it. And she got really mad at me for saying that because she didn't want to put the blame on the diet. And you know what? I totally commend you. You care about the animals. That's great. That's wonderful. But you're letting your body die. You're letting yourself suffer all of these issues because of that. It's not worth it. And it's a shame when you see somebody literally do that. Whenever you see someone throw their own life away and become a martyr for the animals, when in reality, that isn't even helping the animals when you look at the whole spectrum. And I'll dive more into this as I continue. But yeah, that. And it's like, it's really sad. But the thing is veganism is like, and vegetarianism even, is like a religion to a lot of people. And so that's why they can't turn away from it. And it's, yeah. So let me go ahead and just dive into this wonderful thread. Carnivore Aurelius made this. And speaking of him, He's like a mostly carnivore, animal-based dieter. I do believe he eats fruits and honey, but mostly meat-based. Yeah, steak, organ, fruit, all that. So here's his thread. He goes, there is zero reason to go vegan. Every single reason people go vegan is a lie, and it is doing the exact opposite of what people intend. Let me explain. I thought this was a really good thread. He goes, number one, the vegan diet is not healthier. We've been misled to think that red meat is bad for you. There are now dozens of RCTs and studies debunking claims that red meat causes disease. Namely, the initial evidence that cholesterol caused heart disease has been debunked right here. feel free to dive more into this thread. Check out his thread if you want to look more into it too as well. Not only that, but there was a Harvard study. I forgot I was going to pull that up, but I'll shorten it, condense it here. Feel free to look it up yourself, but the Harvard study showed people 6 months on carnivore diet, the amount of people who reduced, or like, first of all, it was unanimous, they all lost some weight if they were fat, and then secondly, like diabetes and other illnesses, I'm talking like in the 90s, the 90 percentages of people who completely reversed illnesses, okay? Completely reversed diabetes, completely reversed all kinds of other stuff. This is in the 90s of percentages, okay? Look into it. Look into it yourself. There's one thing is why, this is, again, I've said in my last videos, one reason why I became a bit of a conspiracy theorist, because I see firsthand just how opposite our dietary guidelines are, and how going on a completely meat-based diet has alleviated my health issues hormonally, and with my endometriosis, all that kind of stuff, completely transformed my health in ways that nothing else ever did. And so that, you know, that is why a lot of the way that I believe with like conspiracy type stuff, that's why I look into just about anything now. All right, meat is loaded with B vitamins, bioavailable protein, zinc, selenium, creatine, carnitine. Many of these vegetables do not contain. This is why vegans and vegetarians tend to be deficient in many nutrients, and the diet is associated with mental disorders and high homocysteine. And you know what? With mental disorders, I get it, because like that was ultimately the biggest reason why I quit vegan. Being like the vegan diet, is because I was experiencing a lot of issues. I was weak. I was struggling to get out of bed, all that. But mentally, I felt like I just wanted to die. I had the worst depression, the worst mental health issues of my freaking life when I was eating a vegan diet. And there was nothing situationally that had put me in a position to feel that way. And then once I started eating meat and all that kind of stuff, dude, it was like, it got progressively so much better and improved after that. And I've also talked in other videos in general how one reason too why I stay on the carnivore diet is because of the mental benefits. It just helped my mental health more than anything ever has. I don't take any medications or anything like that. So yeah, vegetarian diet and mental disorders. Results from a representative community survey. All right, feel free to look more into this as you will. Now, when he mentioned bioavailable protein as well, this is such a huge thing to keep in mind, because when it comes to even the fitness community and all that, you know, they want to say, hey, yeah, you can still gain a lot of muscle as a vegan and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a certain degree, and some people do somehow, but it is a lot more difficult. And the protein that you get from plants is not very bioavailable, okay? So just because it says, okay, these beans have this much protein, you're not absorbing all of it at all. You're not even absorbing even close to the amount that you need. The highest, from what I've looked at, highest bioavailable proteins from plants comes from soy, okay? And soy is terrible for you, so I just don't really see the trade-off there. Now, also, meat, when it comes to like actual meat, animal products, I mean, the bioavailability is significantly higher versus plants. Not only that, but what a lot of studies show is that animal fats assist in absorbing protein. Okay, so that's why if you're just to eat a bunch of egg whites, you may not absorb that protein in as well as you would eating regular eggs, because of the fats that are there that will assist in that. And you look at just meat in general. This is why, I mean, this is kind of how God designed it. It's right there. You have everything you need. You got the meat and the protein in the meat, and then you got the fat that helps you absorb it. All right, so on top of this, plants produce, now I've talked about this and people were really curious about this. Plants produce defensive chemicals to fend off predators. Exactly. I've talked about this. 99% of the pesticides in the human diet aren't added to foods. They're produced endogenously by plants. A vegan diet is begging for nutrient deficiencies, gut irritation, and lower energy production. Look at that. Nightshades especially. Alkaloids. Damages carb and fat metabolism. Damages DNA repair. Damages nerve transmission. I mean, all kinds of stuff here. Again, feel free to read it for yourself. People like freak out when they'll ask me like, hey, do you eat vegetables, right? And I say, no, I don't. Honestly, I once in a blue moon might have some cauliflower because I like to put cheese in it. But even then, it's very rare because ultimately, like, the anti-nutrients just don't make plants worth it for me. My health has improved dramatically because I've done keto before, and primarily meat-based keto. And while, yes, that has also helped me in tons of ways, it was going full carnivore that really helped me, and that really helped with my endometriosis especially. And so I do not eat vegetables because I am not trying to have issues with all the anti-nutrients and all that does to your body. Okay? Yeah. Now, yeah. That's what I have to say about that. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Oh yeah, and I also wanted to mention before too, about this part is the B vitamins. Like, let's look at B12. This is the obvious one with vegans. You can't truly be a true vegan and not supplement. And people want to talk about, okay, I eat nothing but meat. I don't supplement a freaking thing. And people want to talk about, oh, well, you didn't do veganism right. You didn't do veganism right. That's always a thing every time. Well, it shouldn't be that hard. If it's so natural, then it wouldn't be that hard, right? I can tell somebody, okay, go ahead, go try carnivore, see how that works for you. And it always, people come back to me with glowing, like, oh my gosh, this has been amazing. It's helped me so much. I don't have to give them all these lists of details, very specifics. It's very simple. Eat freaking meat, bro. Meat, and if you tolerate it, dairy. It's not hard. You're getting all the nutrients you need from meat, period. And with the vegan diet, you're not. People will be like, oh, don't hate on the vegan diet when that works for me. Well, it doesn't work for you, or you wouldn't have to supplement B12 so you don't die. So there's that. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Number 2, veganism isn't better for the environment. According to a full life cycle analysis, animal-based agriculture produces 4% of greenhouse gases, whereas plant-based produces 5%. One produces the most nutrients-dense foods on Earth. The other, which is meat, the other yields inflammatory, nutrient-devoid junk. And that is exactly what vegetables are. And people think I'm crazy for saying this, but yeah, vegetables are junk. If you like them, eat them, but for the most part, they're junk. It's not worth it. Okay, let's continue. This study suggests that removing meat would only reduce GHG by 2.6%. Whoop-de-doo. And at what cost? We'd somehow have to phase out a massive industry, the livelihood of hundreds of millions of people, and the most nutritious food in the world. Okay? I'm sick of all the cow farts argument too. It's just absolutely asinine. Red meat is a red herring when it comes to climate change. Just another attempt to rescue the failed hypothesis that red meat is the enemy. Meanwhile, transportation causes 28% of GHG greenhouse gas, and the pharma footprint is nearly as big. These are the real problems. Exactly. Monocrop agriculture also decimates the soil. According to Mark Hyman, a third to 40% of all the carbon in the atmosphere today that's causing climate volatility is from the loss of soil. According to the UN, we only have 60 years of farming left from these practices. Yeah. I don't know how true all that is, but hey, if you want to believe in Father Science so much, Cow crap, on the other hand, can regenerate the soil and actually pull carbon out of the atmosphere. The only way forward for the environment is working with the cow, not against it. This, I believe, is why every religion prized them as sacred. Number 3, veganism is not better for animals. Okay, you may grant the first two, but it has to be better for animals, right? You have to be a better person because you're not eating dead flesh like us savage sinners. This is incorrect too. While at face value, it may seem like you're not killing an animal by eating that spinach, really, you need to take into account everything that it takes to grow it. Animals that live in the soil are slaughtered as you till it. Pests are killed by the toxic chemicals. According to Mike Archer, a professor at the University of NSW, 25 times more animals die, 25 times more, to produce an equal weight of wheat protein and beef protein. How could that be possible? And you know what? Here's the thing. Is like, I mean, look at this cute little guy. And now, look, here's the thing, dude. Is one cow has like 400 freaking pounds of meat on it, okay? So when you're factoring in how, someone like myself that eats almost only beef as my entire diet, like I can freaking live on one cow for like almost a year. So big difference there. Big difference if you really, really do the math there. At least 100 mice are killed per hectare. I don't know what that measurement is exactly, per year to grow grain. Average yields are about 1.4 tons of wheat hectare. 13% of the wheat is usable protein. At least 55 mice die to produce 100 kilograms of usable plant protein, 25 times more than for the same amount of rangelands beef. And that's just mice. Yeah, not everything else factored in here. Almond milk production last year killed 4 billion bees. Freaking bees, bro. Save the bees. You don't want to drink almond milk if you want to save the bees, that's for sure. On the other hand, one cow can produce almost 500 pounds of usable beef, meaning if you eat over 1 pound a day, you could survive off of one animal for a year. Vegans have at least as much, if not more, blood on their hands than carnivores. Exactly. Veganism is a scam. It is a bid for more control over your health and your body. A diet that was initially intended to lower fertility and poison your libido. That's another topic among vegans. Like, don't even get me started. Okay. It is capitalizing on your kindness and funneling more money to big corporations. Do not fall for this crap. Amen. Amen. Nothing but facts. Nothing but facts. You can be mad at it, and you know what? People probably are mad at it. At the comments, why are you mad? Because it's true. So excellently stated. Also, now just let's veer off a little more into this, okay? Now let's go into something that I like, that's anecdotal, okay? I'm a big fan of anecdotal evidence. A lot of people don't like it. They want to just see a scientific study, but I like to see antidotes. So let's go ahead and look at 50-year-old vegans, all right? This is a pro-vegan website. I did not cherry pick this at all, okay? And you know what? I don't want to be a hater. I'm sure they're all wonderful people, but this just isn't. This guy is pretty fit. I'll give him that. How long was he vegan? I don't know, but yeah, so far he's the best one on this list. But I mean, ultimately, most of these people do not look to be just an icon of health. They just don't. They look frail, weak, skinny fat, or fat. This just does not look healthy. And I know they're 50, but come on. Like, I know regular 50-year-olds who don't look as sick. Again, I'm sure they're great people, but yeah, I'm trying trying to find like a goals. You know what I mean? Like OMG goals. When I'm 50, I hope I'm like that. Not seeing it. Okay? But no hate to them as people. Okay, now we don't really have a whole lot to go on with actual full carnivore anecdotally, but here's something we do have for long-term carnivore. Joe and Charlene Anderson, more than 20 years of eating only meat. I believe they eat just ribeyes every freaking day. Here she is at 25 years old versus 45 years old. I mean, yeah, that's goals. That is absolutely goals. Okay? Holy moly, she is a babe. All right, 57-year-old, okay? Because these were mostly 50-year-olds. So, okay, she's 45, so that is younger. 57 here. He looks great. Here she is at 44. Looking amazing. Looking freaking amazing. Amazing. Look at him. Hot. Looking great. 60 years old. 60. This is older than almost all these. They look strong, lean, looking great. Looking freaking great. They are hot. Obviously, being hot isn't everything. It's nice. But I mean, the reason why they're hot is because they look so freaking healthy and strong. They are freaking hot as heck. I'm just saying. They look amazing. All right. So I'm just saying here, if you want to choose to look one way or another in your 50s, you want to feel like you're thriving, you want to be in a certain health. I personally would see them as more goals. Here's the thing is, I don't know. I'm trying to find a singular one, and of any long-term vegan I've seen, I've not seen a singular one look nearly this good. And, you know, while aging is genetics play a role, our diets play a huge role, a massive role. And I'm just, you know, this is the 20-year anecdote that we have to go on, and pretty freaking amazing if you ask me. I think I'll take my chances with this, you know, with how I choose to eat. All right. Let me go ahead and go into some recent comments from some videos from my last video, because this asked me a lot of like nutrition questions. I'm going to dive in and give my opinions. Visitor, he says, taking the first step to weight loss is hard and sometimes you need a kick, but seriously, carnivore works. It can't not work. Carbs are 100% the problem. After seeing the How I Did It video, sorry, I'm like burping, How I Did It video on your other channel, which I made that, yeah, my Melanie Mac channel, I dove in a lot in it. Now, there's certain couple little things that I do different since then, because that video was made in like last September, I believe, but ultimately the general principles and message there is the same. So feel free to check that out if you'd like to do so. It's called How I Did It on my Melanie Mac channel. The links in Coach Mac PDF, which I did link, it was just like a general guidelines for anybody who just doesn't know what to do getting started on carnivore or keto. And I'm like, hey, this should help out some people, which I shared in that video as well. I did coach some people from my community and they saw incredible, just unreal results very quickly. All right, so I decided to give carnivore a shot back in March. All right, 40 pounds gone just like that. And I'm already at goal wedding day weight. That is freaking incredible. The gym selfies have been a good kick in the butt on occasion, not gonna lie, but seeing results gives you willpower. Anyway, what you say works, and it's great you're pursuing certification. Oh, and Mrs. Visitor says, thanks. This is like, yes, I love it. I love it. This is great. Turkey Pillow says, I struggle with weight gain on and off. I overeat from a life of overworking since my teens. I can attest that putting on extra pounds is a miserable experience. When your pants are tightening and you feel that pinch under your belly button, it can be irritating. I've recently had a long personal talk with myself and have devoted myself to eating better and less. I liked the message in this video. Being overweight is hard and it only makes life harder. Exactly. So, like I've said in that one video, I'm not about fat shaming people, but I am about encouraging healthier ways to live. Because being fat is not good for anybody, and a miserable way to live, I would imagine. Stan says here, a pound of 70% lean and 30% fat of ground beef has 65 grams of protein. I thought your body at most can absorb 35 grams of protein at a time. Then you have to wait about 3 hours before you can absorb more protein. Now, this is a very common question that a lot of people have. I want to say there's some like outdated science on this, and so a lot of people are under the impression they have to space out your meals and eat multiple meals simply because you will not absorb all the protein in one. Now, while it is true that your body can absorb an X amount in one sitting, the excess of protein that you do intake, your body will still absorb over time throughout the day. So you absolutely can. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to eat just 1 or 2 meals a day. If you prefer to space out your meals, go for it. But you don't have to. I personally, just given my schedule and that I keep busy and stuff, I don't feel like making a bunch of meals a day. I prefer to eat 1 or 2. So I get all of my protein, sometimes upwards of 200 grams of protein in one sitting. And what your body does not absorb immediately, it still will over time. And there are studies that show this. 973 says, a fellow Scorpio, carnivore and gamer, beef, lamb, eggs, and raw dairy for me. Easiest shopping list for the past 4 years of my life. Hey, let's go. But yeah, I'm telling you, my grocery shopping is so freaking easy. I just go to the grocery store like once a week. Lately, I keep it very simple. Now, sometimes I do like to get a little more creative, but I find it's just optimal when I keep things really simple. I will go grab some ground beef and some eggs. Done. Thank you. Now, when it comes to dairy, I eat dairy when I'm just on maintenance mode or bulking, but when I'm on a cut, then I won't eat dairy because that is a thing. Also, not everybody can handle dairy. So even if you were to go like carnivore and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to figure out on your own if you handle dairy or not. But, meat is the most important part for sure. Saigo says, I'm very sorry to hear about you losing friends over you voicing your opinions. That stings a lot, especially when you're doing the right thing, which you are. Thank you. I appreciate it. Honestly, it just shows who your real friends are, at the end of the day. Vaughn says, I'm very overweight. I will try your beef and egg thing. I'll get back to you in a month to see what kind of progress I see. Let's freaking go. I'm excited to see what you have to say and how that's worked for you. Now, people who do want to dive into this, like I said earlier in my video, I don't consider carnivore to be similar to vegan in the fact that here's all this super specific checklist and supplements you have to take and all that. You don't. Now, I will say, though, is when you're first adapting to carnivore, you may want to look into electrolyte supplement, though. You don't have to. Some people don't have to at all. But carnivore and keto both are a diuretic, so you will lose a lot of water weight really fast when you first start it. And as a result, it can flush out your electrolytes, and that's how you get that keto flu, as they call it. So if you start to feel like you're not the best and all that kind of stuff, then you will want to look into supplementing electrolytes. Now, I did supplement electrolytes for a bit there for that reason, but where I'm at now, I'm so freaking adapted. Like, I've been carnivore for almost 3 years now. I don't supplement electrolytes at all, really. I really don't. Now, sometimes I will take magnesium before bed because that is, most people are magnesium deficient anyway. So magnesium glycinate is really good, but yeah, it's not a have-to thing. And I find that just, my electrolytes are balanced, just from my diet. These days, since I am very adapted. Now, when you go from eating like a regular standard diet, then going to something like this, there's still going to be an adjustment phase to be had. And I encourage you to look up some videos on it, just carnivore diet. You can find some like Beef and Butter Gal's really great. I don't 100% agree with how much she pushes eating fats, though. You don't have to eat a ton of fats. You don't. Now, fats are really good for you, and I wouldn't discourage them too much. But if you are trying to lose weight, it's quite simple that energy sources are fats and carbs. And so for most people, though, if you do just cut out carbs, then you will still lose just fine, because they're not going to be overeating fats. But there's a limit to be had, because you're not going to burn the fat on your body if you're intaking more fat than energy you're expending. So that's a balance to be had. But for most people, and especially if you're not, unless you're trying to get, like if you're trying to get shredded, like a 6-pack or something, then yeah, you're gonna have to monitor that. But if you're just fat and trying to not be fat, you probably won't have to track fats at all. But unless you just go overboard and you're just eating a ton of cheese and a ton of butter, just in an unreal amounts. Yeah, but anyway, Steak and Butter Gal is great. Dr. Ken Berry is like my fave. He's a doctor, and he's just amazing. Great videos on all kinds of topics. If people ask questions about like cholesterol, they ask about very specific things that he does an excellent job at explaining. I mean, he's a doctor. He can explain those a lot better than I can. Lee says, ask Melanie a health question and we have an hour video. Exactly. I'm very surprised this hasn't been an hour. I'm trying my best. Okay. So Observant Owl says, we are omnivores, not herbivores. Which is so freaking true. And I said in my last video, see, I really appreciate people who understand what you mean, even if you don't say, because sometimes, especially when you're talking for an extended amount of time, which was like a 40-minute video, sometimes your brain is going to think you're saying something, but you're not, and so basically I meant omnivore, but I said herbivore. And I think the majority of people who watched understood. They put 2 and 2 together, because my explanations were omnivore. But I said herbivore for some reason. So anyway, yes, we're omnivores, just like, and what I used as a comparison there was talking about like dogs, for example. Okay. Because a lot of people, even when I talk about being carnivore, they're like, we're not carnivores, we're omnivores. We're supposed to eat plants and all that kind of stuff. And here's the thing is, and my opinion on it is, yes, we are omnivores, but the plant part is optional. Okay. And in many, many cases, I think that people would actually benefit from not eating plants, just because of how engineered plants are in general now. For that reason, and for the anti-nutrients and stuff that I went over earlier. Like I said, I noticed just in myself, cutting plants has made a drastic improvement in my health. But the thing is, I think, and like I said in that video, if you were to feed a dog an omnivore diet, meat and plants, the dog will be fine. But if you feed a dog only plants, it's not going to be healthy. But if you feed a dog only meat, again, he'll be good. He'll be fine. Same with human beings, I believe, is that if human beings are to eat plants and meat in an organic capacity, then yeah, I think you can be healthy and great. You can eat only meat and be healthy and great. In many cases, honestly, even better, again, like I said, for the other reasons. But if a human eats only plants, then no, just like much like a dog, you're going to have a hard time. All right. So Fat Man says, look up the food pyramid lie. We've been played since birth. I'll happily die a conspiracy theorist because I'm tired of being told stuff, expected to believe it without question, and called crazy if I do my own research. 1000% agree with you, Fat Man. 1000%. Joey G says, I'm going to start cutting carbs. Okay, you got this. You got this. I believe in you. Kevin says, you can be healthy or unhealthy, and we all still going to die one day. Just live your best life, whatever makes you happy the most. All you're going to do is live a couple more years when you're 80. So will it even matter then? This type of comment and rhetoric in general, I think, is absolutely stupid. If it was simply just down to that, like, oh, okay, so you'll live to be 90 instead of 80. Big deal. But what you fail to factor in here is your quality of life. Okay. So the extra years are, yeah, okay, that's great and all. But what about just your years in general? Okay. What about living life in your 30s and your 40s? And you're seeing people get autoimmune diseases, and you're seeing people sick and weak and frail or fat and obese. And what comes with that? What comes with being obese? On the surface, does it sound like, oh yeah, that'd be fun if you just eat as much cake and pizza as you want? And who cares if you're fat as long as you're happy? Sounds great, doesn't it? But you know what doesn't sound great? Living with joint pain. living with struggling to breathe, with struggling to walk and get around without getting winded, living with disease. Okay? So yeah, being healthy absolutely matters because your quality of life on this earth is going to drastically improve. And you're not going to be happy if you are unhealthy. You're going to be miserable. All right, LG says, isn't keto really hard on your kidneys? This is also a big common question. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ken Berry probably has a video on it, so I'd recommend looking that up. But furthermore, from like what I have researched and my opinion on it, is there actually isn't any direct link between keto and kidney problems. That said, however, when you do, especially if you're like heavily meat based and you're not intaking, now it just depends. Now, if you go keto and you're eating a ton of leafy greens, for example, because keto and carnivore are different, you have a lot more options on keto. Leafy greens are very high in oxalates. And what that can do is create kidney stones, okay? So yeah, in that regard, if you're eating a ton of leafy greens, then yeah, you may get a bunch of kidney stones. Furthermore, even if you were to cut them out, okay? Cut out all oxalates on a carnivore diet like I did. Guess what? I got kidney stones. How long did that take to... It took about, let's see, I started in October, November, December, January. It took about like 6 months. Okay, so about 6 months after I started carnivore diet, I had 2 kidney stones. And upon further, when they actually got tested and everything, like what kind of kidney stones they were, it was of the oxalate variety. So when you cut oxalates out of your diet, now for some people they will recommend doing it slowly. Now I went from being vegan, vegetarian, and even when I was keto, I ate a ton of vegetables. And so what that did is it compiled a lot of oxalates in my body. And so whenever I cut those all together and quit eating oxalates, then what happened was my body is like trying to flush out all those oxalates really fast. And when that happens, you can get kidney stones. So for some people that have oxalate dumping issues, they might want to gradually get off of high oxalate foods and like slowly lower into it just so that they don't have that heavy oxalate dumping really fast. For me, I just went cold turkey. Still no regrets, but yeah. But no, there is no link between keto. There is no direct link between keto and kidney issues. Paul says, Melanie, you seem to be very empathetic to all walks of life. That's so nice. Thank you. I find it sad that people would unfriend you for wanting to be healthy and for holding different views. Yeah. Welcome to 2022. All right, let me go ahead and go into the verse of the day, which I found very relevant to this discussion. Romans 14:2-4. Now, this is one reason why, while I do give my opinions on this, I think ultimately people should eat however they want to eat. It's none of my business. I will give my advice for health reasons, but I am not going to preach the beef gospel and get mad at anybody or force anybody or pressure anybody to just eat beef, okay? I can encourage people to try things and for their health, but again, like, hey, eat what you want, So, let's go ahead and read this. It says, one person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God has welcomed him. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? It is before his own master that he stands or falls, and he will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make him stand. This is why vegans who aren't super militant and they are very like, hey, you know what? Eat what you want. This is what I choose for my life. And I have at least one friend who is like that, who eats vegan but doesn't pressure everybody else to, and doesn't force that belief on others or doesn't judge people who aren't. And I appreciate that. And, that's how we should all strive to be with one another. When it comes to what you eat, that's a personal thing. And so, be respectful, dude. Now, I'm preaching this to myself, too, because I do dunk on vegans. I do dunk on vegans a lot. Sometimes I can be a little harsh or mean in my jokes. Or even not jokes, dude. I will just be like, bro, how many soy boys can you lift? You know, I get a little harsh there sometimes. So I gotta reel it back. There are times where I'm like, dude, I gotta reel it back. I'm getting a little mean, which we're not supposed to do. So this is very much for me as well. Anyway, there you have it for today's video. I'm very surprised that this was not an hour-long video. Thank goodness I was able to keep it pretty concise. Honestly, the reason why is because Carnivore Aurelius so intelligently compiled his list a lot more succinct than I would have on my own. So for any more resources too, I suggest bio.kim.carnivore on Instagram. She is brilliant. She's very intelligent. She shares a lot of actual studies. So if you're really down to the science of things and stuff like that, and she's experimented with different things with carnivore. She's added honey. She's added, I don't know if she's added fruit, but I know she's added honey, and then she'll try not having dairy versus having dairy. And so, and then she really breaks down on what her experiences are with it. But not only that, but she also dives into a lot of studies in general and shares a lot of just like scientific information that has helped me a lot in my carnivore journey even. So yeah, that's also a really good source. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you're having a wonderful Monday. Today is Memorial Day as I film this, so you know, honoring and appreciating and forever being grateful for the sacrifice that our U.S. troops have made for us in this country. And yes, I hope you're able to enjoy your day and have a good day in remembrance of the sacrifice that our heroes have made for us. And God bless America. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all tomorrow. And in the meantime, go boom.